Hi, I'm Stephanie Dyer, and this is Escape into a Cause, a podcast about the people and nonprofits driving impact across the Austin metro area. I am not an expert, but I get to sit down with the folks who are, and we talk about what it actually looks like to give back, get involved, and strengthen the community we live in. And today we are celebrating a huge milestone. It's our 25th nonprofit interview. That's 25 conversations with organizations doing real work, building inclusive sports leagues, expanding food access, creating vibrant public parks and events, supporting progressive art studios for people with disabilities or experiencing housing insecurity, and even rescuing dogs across the border in Mexico. Shout out to my rescue dog, Reese. The impact these nonprofits make reaches well beyond what public services can provide, and it's donors, volunteers, and everyday advocates like you who help keep that impact going. Now, if you hear a cause that resonates with you today, I list almost all of them with Courtney. I hope you'll go back and revisit that episode, or better yet, check out amplifyatx.org, a platform organized by I Live Here, I Give Here that makes it incredibly easy to explore and support Central Texas nonprofits. Speaking of I Live Here, I Give Here, you'll hear their executive director, Piper Steggy-Nelson, in this episode's Topic That Matters segment, ahead of us interviewing Austin Creative Reuse. Originally, Austin Creative Reuse was paired with a different topic. But due to a few nonprofits needing to reschedule, we ended up having to change which nonprofit interview was matched up with our 25th celebratory look back discussion. Things happen. But honestly, I couldn't bring myself to cut Piper's reflections about ACR. She absolutely loves this place, and you'll hear why. So just a heads up, Piper pops in and then fades out because Courtney and I wrap up things as the two of us reflect on 25 interviews with nonprofits doing incredible work in Central Texas. I'm so proud of every leader I've interviewed, and I could not be more proud of my co-host, Courtney Dickey, which deserves a tremendous shout out. I truly could not have done this without her. She shows up every time, not because she's paid, because she's not. It's because she believes in giving nonprofits more money and more of a platform. Courtney is hilarious, deeply thoughtful, and she cares. She takes time away from her family and her busy schedule to be here because the work matters. Together, Courtney and I have explored everything from altruism and tax strategies to celebrity foundations and why the world might be doing better than we think. And after that topic that matters, we always dive into our interview with an extraordinary nonprofit. I want to thank a few people because this is our 25th interview. The Texas Stars Foundation. I'm incredibly grateful for them for supporting this podcast, and to Nightlight Insurance, which has donated $25,000 to the nonprofits featured so far. That kind of commitment keeps us going, helps shine a bigger spotlight on organizations doing great work. I also want to thank Todd Thompson for editing and mixing every episode since day one. We've actually 26 episodes in, 25 of them interviews with nonprofits, and as you can imagine, not every week goes as smoothly as we'd like. He's the person that really makes this show possible for listeners to enjoy. So today we're celebrating a small milestone and escaping into the world of Austin Creative Reuse, where we will talk about reuse, creativity, and sustainability with Madison Knapp. Since 2009, ACR has helped Austinites see materials in a new light, conserve resources, and spark creativity, all while building community. So stick around for some joy, inspiration, and maybe even a reason to clean out that junk drawer or closet. I hope you enjoy. So today is another topic that matters that we have with Piper Steggy-Nelson, the executive director, I Live Here, I Give Here, that organizes Amplify Austin. Of course, we have Courtney Dickey, the now former president of the Junior League of Austin, who has had 15 years of experience in nonprofits. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
We are escaping into Austin Creative Reuse, which fosters, they foster conservation and reuse through creativity, education, and community building, which I know that you volunteered there, and your son really loved his service there.
He did. So I Live Here, I Give Here has a program called See Teens Give, where we get teens involved in giving back, and they find something that they're passionate about. They raise money for that. As part of that program, we went and volunteered at Creative Reuse, and it's this incredible warehouse.
It is. I've been there.
I was telling you, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like you walk in,
so
all the colors and all the things. And so your job as a volunteer is to package the materials so that they can sell them. It's all nonprofit, volunteer led, but with a tiny, tiny staff. But so getting your hands on these materials was so much fun. And so he was like collecting stickers and putting stickers into And so it was great. Perfect place.
And a beautiful way to upcycle.
Beautiful way to upcycle.
Yeah.
And they have this van that they take around to the schools at the start of the year, and it has all these materials that teachers can just go pull out of the van and take into their rooms for free. So papers and decorating and pens and all these sorts of things. And
Yeah.
You'll both have children in public schools. Have you seen the Lost and Found at the end of the year?
Oh, it is a mess. And I love in every newsletter, like, please check the Lost and please, here's another photo of the Lost and Found. Please check Lost and Found.
It's wild.
Yes.
I never wanted to be the person in charge of the Lost and Found. Like, it was a full-time job.
Yeah.
Like, it was, and they would put the things up on the fence, and then they would get rained on. It was a disaster.
On the stage in the cafeteria, like anything they can do to try to get the attention.
I feel like at the end of the day, there needs to be a deadline and they just allow everyone to come and rate it.
Yeah.
You know? Because at some point I'm like, well, my son's growing older. I don't want to get him new clothes at the end of the summer. Can we just go look at some cute sweaters that are left behind?
And there's good stuff in there.
There is. Oh, it's all Under Armour and Nike. And you're like, okay.
Yes. And every Stanley Cup you can imagine. 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I'm really excited to chat with Austin Creative Reuse, which is our 25th interview.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats to us. We made it this far.
Exciting.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So I thought it'd be fun for this Topics That Matter to just kind of dive into all the interviews, all the topics we've talked about. And I'm just going to real quick just go through the topics that we've hit on. And then I just want to dive in. What was some of your favorites? What were some eye-opening things? And just kind of chat from there.
Let's do it.
Cool. Okay. So we started with Sage Studio and we dived into the topic, the loneliness epidemic and how giving back in community can help, which I really liked that one. Our buddy, Bob Putnam.
Bob. Yes.
Yeah. That was great. We escaped into Junior League of Austin.
Personal fave.
Yes, I know. And I loved it. And we talked about the philanthropy gender gap.
Yes.
Women give a little bit more of their time and their resources towards nonprofits. Generation Serve, that's where we dived into starting young and children and giving. We escaped into Carrying Hope, and our topic was just about giving money. Best Buddies. We love Best Buddies.
Love Best Buddies.
I know, your daughter's in Best Buddies. Yes. And we explored hyper-individualism and how our country's greatest strength may also be one of our country's weaknesses. We went to ATX Kids Club. We talked about government social responsibility, Atticus Legacy Dog Rescue, where we also talked about trust and nonprofits.
Yes.
We interviewed one of our sponsors to the Texas Stars Foundation, and we talked about corporate social responsibility. They're fantastic. Go Stars. Special Olympics, Texas. And this is the only one that you weren't with me in my topic. I know this is my fault. It was a scheduling change.
No one's fault. And such a special organization.
Such a good organization. I dived into the introduction of effective altruism, and we chatted with Allison from Peace Park Conservancy, which I know well, and you and I talked about formal volunteerism.
On the decline.
On the decline.
I know.
I chatted with Art from the Streets, and you and I talked about voluntourism.
Oh, yes. That was fun.
The not so great side of voluntourism. I spoke with Austin Baptist Chapel, which has the nickname the Angel House Soup Kitchen, and we chat about what causes do people care about? And you and I talked about how animals and art are big ones in Austin.
Big ones.
And I spoke with Piper from I Live Here, I Give Here, because you and I looked into their categories and who donated, right?
Yes, which was fascinating.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about shadow cats later. That was a fun one. Yeah. She told me all about it. It was really cool.
Super popular.
Yeah, definitely listen to I Live Here, I Give Here.
Yeah.
Austin Sunshine Camps. Such a great organization. We chatted about celebrity foundations.
We opened up our People magazines. Yes.
We did. Yeah. That one was good, which was like apparently a very popular topic in the mid 2010s. Not so hot right now that everybody's busy talking about billionaires. Yellow Bike Project, that was really fun. We talked about whether galas were expensive or effective. Yellow Bike Project doesn't even have a gala.
But it was still. Yeah.
No, I think it was a great conversation. Dived into Austin Sound Waves, which gives all students the opportunity and access to quality music. And you and I talked about the psychology, what influences people to give, and the Hawthorne effect. That means that people usually do better, perform better when they're being watched.
Right.
Austin Angels, they help with foster care and families. And Susan was fantastic. Highly recommend listening to Austin Angels.
Okay.
And we dived into philanthropies focused on men, a little bit different. E3 Alliance, they use data to help make decisions around policy and education. And they're doing fantastic things. And we dived into the world is doing a little bit better.
Yay.
right?
Yes.
Than most of us think. And most people fail the quiz when given about how well the world is doing.
Yeah.
National Hispanic Institute, that was fun. 2 college-bound students in NHI. If you listen to that, and if you are Hispanic and you have a child that's coming up through high school, listen to that one. Or if you know anyone, you don't have to be Hispanic. It helps with debate, public speaking leaders. Just listen to them and you'll be like, yeah, I want my kid in NHI. They'll sound like them.
Yes.
And that we talked about first generation college students.
Amazing.
Yeah. I live here, I give here. We were discussing pledges for donations, louder than silence. We talked about nonprofits, 501c3s, charities, tax exempt. What does this all mean?
Breaking down the definitions.
Broke it down.
Yeah.
Con mi madre, we dug a little bit deeper on effective altruism and where is the most impact going with our dollars. Colin's Hope, how has tax policy influenced charity giving over time? Okay, I know I just went through a
So
whole
many
list,
good topics.
but I just thought it'd be fun to kind of give you a good reminder of everything we've explored so far, the nonprofits and the topics. And now we're here, 25 nonprofits, 24 topics that we've explored in the past. We're on the 25th episode.
Isn't that amazing? I hope
Yeah.
you feel so proud to, highlight 25 different nonprofit organizations, and not only the organizations, but the beneficiaries of that work, the causes, why it's an issue, where the gaps are. You have really just unearthed and exposed all of that and exposed our listeners to that information. I hope you feel so proud, and I feel proud to be a small part of it, but the influence that you're having and for choosing to use your voice for these matters. You could use your voice for a lot of things, and there are a lot of people who don't even use their voice, but this is what you have chosen to stand up for and to shed light on. And so I'm just so proud of you.
Oh my gosh, you're so sweet.
And those topics, truly, like if anybody wanted a crash course in nonprofit and all of the issues around and surrounding nonprofits and why people give and how they give and who's giving and the skepticism around nonprofits, like this is a fantastic crash course. Just those 25 topics that you listed off. Yeah.
Thanks, Courtney. I'm not an expert at all. I go do some research. So this is not a 2-hour armchair. We're not deep diving with experts. I would love for experts, maybe next year. Come on, experts. Really.
That's a great idea.
Really dive into these topics because I think they're worth exploring. But I think we're really speaking to your average person who just kind of wants to dive in a little, think about it a little, and hopefully we're doing that.
And I think that is the typical profile of someone who's probably dabbed in nonprofits, given a donation here and there, not really sure what it went to, but a friend asked. And I truly believe that the majority of people want to help. I always say you can either help or harm, and always choose help. I think people really feel as if they have a responsibility to help. They just don't know where to start. And I think you've given them a place to start. And that's really important.
This has been so much more fun with you by my side.
We do have a lot of fun.
It is
We just get
fun.
to talk to each other. And those topics are phenomenal. I have to say, there are some of those topics I go back to all the time. Like I am referencing them. I am listening to the podcast. I am talking about them with other nonprofit leaders. But the loneliness epidemic and how to fight it, it's almost tangible, and creating communities and knowing that we talked about it in another podcast, but kind of generosity being an antidepressant, knowing that the solution to a lot of this loneliness epidemic is getting involved, helping others, putting away 10 cents a day or whatever the Adam Grant story was.
It was less than a cent per day for 2 months. They asked one cohort to do that. And these were 2 cohorts that were depressed. And the one that was giving 1 cent a day for 2 months felt better than the other. And that's nothing.
It is just so declarative and convincing that the key to your own personal happiness is helping others. Like I really, truly believe that in my heart of hearts. I learned so much on that episode, and I evangelize on that topic when people ask, why do you want to get involved? And then the other topic that I've, again, recycled and gone back to is this formal volunteerism being on the decline. And what does that mean? And what does formal volunteerism look like? When I talk to nonprofit leaders and their membership's down, or their volunteer pool is down, or they have fewer people to rely on when it comes to donations for their gala or whatever, it's okay, we know studies show formal volunteerism is down. So how do we make it less formal? How do we make it more approachable? How do we make it more casual? I continue to go back to that study, actually, and I've referenced it many times. Some of these topics, truly are something that is now just part of my everyday speech and rhetoric when I talk about nonprofits in Austin. Yeah.
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
I think that our more recent topic of altruism also, again, there is this layer of feeling like you just have to go show up if only to do good and that's it. And I disagree. I
agree.
think people can show up for their own, whether that's to reduce your depression, whether that's to go make a friend and build a relationship. We know that the majority of the people, it's very human. We read on this on one of our topics that most people said that they do want to be recognized when they donate, just a thank you. I think that's very human. And I think we need to say, who cares if it's completely altruistic or not? I kind of don't care because what ends up happening is you're building relationships. You're realizing how good it feels to give. And if you get recognized or not, it just promotes good. And if you're someone who wants to go tell everyone, this is how much I donated, good for you, because those philanthropists, I think, are inspiring others. And we've talked about this. I am all for people being anonymous. But the more people say, I'm doing this good thing, it makes other people want to do those good things. Like I've said, we go through a GoFundMe. I scroll down and I'm like, what are other people doing? It signals something. And we talked about this with our psychology of why do people give and how much they give.
Yes. And having influence, having positive influence is not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing at all.
I agree. And I think there's these moments of altruism. Like I am at the grocery store, my cart's done. I just put my stuff and there's a woman going to get a cart. Hey, take my cart. Like that's a moment of altruism. I expect nothing. It's just the right thing to do. That's how my mother brought me up. Then there's, hey, I'd like to join a board of a nonprofit where obviously I'm not going to get paid, but I'd like to see my photo on the board of directors so I can show people this is what I do with my extra time. Or I'd like to be recognized in that program at the gala. There's moments of altruism. And then I think there is nonprofit service that it is okay if you receive some type of intangible in return, because I do think it does influence others to go down that path and to also pursue perhaps involvement in a nonprofit at the board level or volunteer level. And that's okay.
We need to not just say, it's okay. We need to say, it is okay. Like, this is completely okay to go do something. Whether it's a mix. We've talked about this with altruism and otherish. Yes. Adam Grant's otherish. Where, yes, you care about the other, but you're also motivated for maybe some selfish purpose. And that's okay. That's human. We, in this country, I mean, I think I looked recently, the average, not new car, but any car loan is $33,000. We don't need this. We could actually reduce suffering by going and getting a $20,000 car and donating $13,000. We could all go do that. We don't choose to sacrifice our life by 50% to go give 50% back out. That's usually not how the average American operates. So let's speak to them and let's tell that audience that there is something here worth giving for that is selfish, and that's okay. And that's why I do the good brag. That's why I make people talk about this, is because more and more people are going, yeah, I can go listen to something that's either entertaining or helps me. How does your podcast help me? Right? And it does.
It does. Agreed.
Anyway.
I love it.
All right. Well, Court, it's been so fun.
Yay, 25.
25. All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks, Court.
Bye.
We'll be right back. Escape into a Cause is sponsored by Nightlight Insurance Agency. You know how a nightlight gives you comfort and peace of mind in the dark? That's exactly what Nightlight aims to do. Guide you through life's uncertainties with personalized insurance for your home, auto, business, and more. Nightlight Insurance strives to provide its clients the best coverage at the best price without sacrificing on customer service. Here's what one client had to say. Nightlight was able to lower our car insurance significantly, answered all our questions, and returned our calls promptly. Very professional, would highly recommend. So it's no surprise Nightlight has a 5-star rating on Google. Nightlight also makes this podcast possible by covering production costs so all other sponsorship dollars and gifts can go directly to nonprofits and volunteers. And as part of their mission to give back, Nightlight proudly donates $1,000 to every nonprofit we interview. If you are a sponsor interested in giving back to our podcast, please find us on social media and let us know. Nightlight is an agency focused on personalized service and giving back. See how much you could save and how good it feels to have peace of mind by visiting nightlightinsurance.com. Today, we are escaping into Austin Creative Reuse, and I have Madison Knapp, Community Programs Manager. Hi, Madison.
Hi, Stephanie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I am excited you're here because I hear so many good things of Austin Creative Reuse. I reached out to you guys on Instagram because everyone loves what y'all are doing, and it's a very visual nonprofit. So I'm really excited to dive in. Tell us, what does Austin Creative Reuse do?
Our nonprofit is all about conservation. We are trying to inspire people to reuse more and to rewire their thinking to choose reuse first. Our founder, Rebecca Stuck, saw that there was this gap in the Austin nonprofit space where if you have a lot of materials like art and school supplies that you no longer need, there's not a great place for you to rehome those. They just end up in the landfill. She had seen other nonprofits tackle this problem through this creative reuse center model. So what we do is we take in donations of school supplies, art supplies, anything that could be creatively reused. And we try and rehome those through our various programs. Our biggest program that rehomes over 80% of our materials is our specialized thrift store. We operate a resale store that is all school art and other sort of creative supplies or things that maybe need to be creatively reused in order to have another life. And that thrift store is open to everyone. We open it to the public 6 days a week, and we get thousands of visitors every month that come and source materials from us. We also have other programs where we rehome materials directly to like teachers, where they can get free materials from us, or other nonprofits that are in need of the things that we have, and we can give it to them instead of them going and buying it new, because that's really what we're trying to prevent is the creation of these new materials when these materials already exist in our community and there's someone who has it in excess and there's someone who needs it. And so we're just trying to shepherd those materials back into the hands of people who will use them.
You're giving things a new life.
Exactly. Yes. And sometimes that new life is a crayon that I'm done doing crayon things. I don't know. And so another kid goes and uses it as a crayon. But maybe that new life is, this crayon is down to a nub and someone's going to melt it down to make wax art or something like that. So there's both the reusing it in its original state or recycling it into something new. Both are very much what we're about.
Okay, that's great. And then what specific location?
We're in the Windsor Park area. If you're familiar with the library that has the like big lions out front, we're right near the library. And so for those of you who aren't as familiar with the Central East Austin area, that's just north of Mueller. We are very close to the UT campus. We're not too far from downtown. We're not that far from the Arboretum.
Yeah.
We're not far from the Domain. We're in a central location where everyone from the kind of Austin and Austin suburbs can access us.
Is there a cultural or historical connection to the community that makes this cause meaningful?
We are so community driven and we're about colorful sort of expression. So I think we really resonate with the Keep Austin Weird kind of movement or ethos that we're trying to keep Austin creative, and reuse is a great way to inspire that creativity because you're limited in the types of materials you can use. Also, something that is very close to our hearts is being really involved with the LGBTQ community and making everyone feel very welcome and they are valued in our space.
I love that. A lot of people have been saying that we've been like kind of losing that Keep Austin Weird. Austin's getting bigger. It's getting more tech. If you go into the Austin subreddit, if anybody looks at Reddit, I do. Sometimes I have to get out of there because it's negative. It's so negative. But people are saying it's losing that. And I just think that nonprofits like ACR, Yellow Bike Project is another one. Very welcome to the LGBTQ community. Also welcome to have just a women-only workshops to feel like everyone's welcome. Anyway, I just see all these safe spaces in Austin and these celebratory spaces. And I really love that. And so happy that y'all are bringing that to Austin.
We love keeping it weird. You just have to come to the center to find out. You'll understand.
I'm so excited to come. I'm going to bring my 16-year-old with me. Okay, and you talk about art type things. What other things does Austin Creative reuse? Both recycle, reuse, and then also through the thrift store. What do they sell?
Things like you said, art supplies. We also have a lot of office and school supplies. A lot of the donations we get are people clearing out their offices because we're all working from home now, or we use our computers rather than paper. And so they donate some of those kind of obsolete office items to us. We also take a lot of vintage things. So I really like when we get the like floppy disks that are both obsolete and vintage. And this could be a cool coaster or something like that. And we also take some amount of like hardware and things because you need nuts and bolts and those kind of basic hardware pieces to make a lot of creative projects. One of our biggest like sectors that we take in is fabric and sewing related things. So we get over 10,000 pounds of fabric every month. It's one of our biggest items that we sell, which is great also because fabric is so resource intensive to manufacture. It takes like thousands of gallons of water to manufacture fabrics, in addition to whatever polyesters and other oils are going into these things.
Let's dive into the programs. You already said that the thrift store is the largest program. 80% of the materials land in the thrift store and are sold.
Yes.
Is that correct?
At least, yeah. That's our biggest way that we shepherd these materials from one family or business to another family.
Okay, great. And then there's a few other programs. You mentioned the teacher.
Yes, so we have some programs specifically for teachers in our community because we know, the materials that teachers need and students need to succeed are out there already. They don't need to be bought new. We also know that teachers are often overburdened with filling their classrooms with materials out of their own pocket. We've tried to find ways that we can directly serve them. We just finished up our big back to school event called the Educator Extravaganza. That was a pay what you can event where teachers from all over Central Texas came and were able to stock their classrooms with all sorts of different materials, both traditional school supplies, but also creative materials. We partnered with AISD Sustainability to get books that they had pulled from old schools at that sale. So these teachers got to stock up on children's books. And that was all on a donation basis. So there was a lot of teachers who said, I really can't afford to pay anything for this. And we said, that is okay. Like, please get these materials back into the hands of students that need them. So in addition to that big back to school event, we also have an ongoing program called the Materials Mobile, a trailer that's full of school supplies. And we take it out to schools or to professional development, like trainings where a lot of educators will be gathered. And we set up a pop-up shop that's entirely free to the teachers of school supplies and creative supplies that they can come and take and stock up their classrooms with. And it's really great when you connect with a teacher who's like, oh my God, we've been out of paper. And I'm so excited. I just need these kids to write. And I'm going to get tons and tons of notebooks and paper. Just give me as much paper as you have because I need these kids to be writing. That's how they're going to learn. Or we had a science teacher who wanted every student to have their own binder to be able to collect all of their experiment log. And they were so excited to be able to get a binder for every student because that was something that they would never be able to do on the budget they were given. And because they worked at a Title I school, it was also too much to ask those students to all go out and buy a new binder. We've reached over 600 teachers, which maps to over 10,000 students in the Central Texas area being served with the materials that we've been able to provide to them. So we were able to fill that gap and help that teacher sort of realize their goal for their students and help enrich their classroom further.
I love that. My husband and children would say, I'm too much of a collector. Each year, it depends. Sometimes they're writing all year long and they fill up the notebook. And sometimes I look in the notebook and there's like 2 pages or 3 pages written. I just rip those pages out and they're like, why are we keeping this? Of course we're going to keep this. It's like basically a new spiral for the next year. So anyway, I really love that y'all are just reusing because otherwise it would go in the landfill most of the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of times, even if you do donate these kinds of items to like Goodwill or Salvation Army, it takes a lot of resources to get those types of materials into a state where someone is going to be able to shop for it and use it. Like it's really hard to sell just like a single pencil and 3 coloring pencils in random colors. A lot of the other secondhand stores and things don't have the resources to sort it into like items and have enough of those pencils or colored pencils for it to actually be usable item. And that's where having this sort of niche resale store kind of model really allows us to fill that gap. So we have hundreds of pencils at any given time, and we put all of that effort into doing all that minute sorting and bundling like things together to where you take this box of random things that would just be put in the landfill and you make it into something that people will be able to use again.
Yeah, man, I love that. Okay. Talking about some statistics, y'all have reached 3 million pounds of materials life to date. Is that correct?
Yes. We started collecting materials in earnest in 2015 when we opened the first Creative Reuse Center in Austin. And we just hit over the summer our 3 millionth pound, not only of donations collected, but really donations diverted from the landfill. Because that's something that we track really carefully is how much of this is ending up in the landfill versus in the recycling versus in the compost or at another thrift store. 3 million pounds of pom-poms and pencils that have found new homes through our programs or been disposed of in a very responsible way, recycling whatever we can, composting whatever we can, things like that.
Okay, well, congratulations, confetti. I mean,
Thank you.
3 million pounds, that's incredible. And then 97% of those materials are saved from the landfill of what is donated.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And y'all have been operating the center for 10 years. Wanted to talk about the volunteer program because there's a lot of numbers there. I see 25,000 volunteer hours. That's just last year?
That was our last fiscal year. It's actually over. It's 25,102 volunteer hours. Yeah.
That's a ton of hours.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is why when I say they don't have the resources to put all this time into sorting these things, our volunteers are what make a creative reuse center possible. We had almost 3,000 individuals volunteer with us in the last fiscal year. And when you think about that, just like the number of people coming through our doors that want to help and want to make this dream a reality of not throwing away these things that are still usable. It warms my heart to know how many people are willing to give their time and effort to making this possible.
I looked y'all up on Google, and to have as many reviews, I think it was over 380 reviews, and it's like a lot, mostly 5-star reviews. It just goes to show how there's just a few nonprofits out there, especially in Austin, where a lot of people know the name, or a lot of people go, oh my gosh, you have to go volunteer there. And it just, these numbers speak volumes. So that's really cool. And it started 100% volunteer run, but now y'all have a full staff.
Yes. Back when we were at our little location in the Link, it was 8 times smaller than our current building. We were entirely volunteer run. Volunteers ran the cash register and they processed every single material and they filed our 501c3 status and all of those things. And now we started hiring staff to build our capacity and to take some of that like undue burden off of the volunteers. When we started growing more and more, it's more difficult to ask that of people. But still, 70% of our material processing time is done by volunteers. So while we do have staff that accept all the donations, do the first steps of sorting, volunteers are largely how we process those materials and get them into a state where people can easily find them in our center and reuse them.
Yeah, that's great. And then fundraising. I know that purchase at the thrift store is, again, the largest way that you're raising revenue. I think there are a few other ways that you're raising money. Can you share?
Absolutely. Yeah. We get about 85% of our total revenue is from sales at the center, and about 15% is from grants and contributions from individuals, as well as some small donations from corporations and things like that, especially ones that come and volunteer with us, which is very unique for a lot of nonprofits to be so largely self-funded in the way that we are. And a lot of that is because both the thrift store itself is the program. Like, we're really trying to just make a self-sustaining system where like this circular economy is self-sustaining, of we're able to take in these donations and rehome them. And then those grants and individual contributions allow us to reach even further beyond that and offer some of these extra programs and things that maybe we wouldn't be able to fund with solely the funding from the center.
And then you have a couple of events as well.
Yes, we don't do fundraising events so much, but we put on a couple cultural events that really resonate with our mission and also help us bring more people into the mission and are relatively self-sustaining financially as well. We have our big inaugural signature event, Reuse on the Runway, is coming up, which is like a fashion show that's all featuring recycled looks. And then we also put on reuse markets that feature solely artists that use reuse and recycled items in their artwork to just really showcase to the community like all the different ways that you can rethink these items and reimagine them into something new.
I have a question. So Reuse the Runway kind of sounds like Rent the Runway almost, which is a subscription rental place that a lot of people go for, like galas or something, go get their dress through there. Do you have any thoughts on these rental subscriptions? Is it really that environmentally friendly when they're having to deliver and dry clean and everything? I'm just curious.
I do not. I mean, I'm all about renting rather than buying, because so often we don't need this thing long term, because you don't want to wear that crazy dress twice. Like, it's a one-time thing because it's so unique and special. And I think there's both environmental impact associated with this, but there's also a lot of human impact. Most likely a lot of these dresses, there's not always socially responsible practices going into the making of textiles. And I think once you combine those, so often, even when you're factoring in the shipping, like just reusing things is going to be more effective than single-use kind of stuff.
Does Austin Creative Reuse have any education programs? Are you educating the public about reusing products or what you should and shouldn't buy? I'm just curious.
We don't really venture into that space. Of course, one day we would love to. One of the things, like as far as our educating the public goes, we do have field trips where we try and inspire the youngest minds out there and get them to think about reuse in a more interesting way, because a child who's told to buy all of their clothing from thrift stores or something, like that doesn't necessarily resonate with kids. But when you're like, look at all this cool art you can do and let's think outside of the box, I think that can really resonate with people of all ages in a way that some of the other like reuse aspects that we try and tackle things from don't. And then we also have like weekly programs called Make and Takes that are like a stop in and learn how to do this craft. And sometimes those crafts are really sustainability focused, where we're trying to turn old newspapers into a little seedling pot. And sometimes it's just origami for fun or something like that. But through those programs, we're trying to get people to engage with the thoughts around reuse in a very positive way, because so often the conservation movement can get very negative because there's a lot of really terrible news out there on that front. And so taking this very positive, uplifting, community building approach, we can do more.
Yeah. Okay, great. Reuse on the Runway, that is September 20th.
Yes.
Is that right? And then you also have reuse markets, which you have on December 6th and 7th. So it's a little bit later. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. We usually host 2 reuse markets a year. We always do one after the Thanksgiving time when you're preparing to buy gifts around the holidays, and then also one in the spring when we're all thinking about bringing new life into the world. So those markets are all about featuring artists that do reuse in their artwork. So it might be artists that sew things entirely from fabric that they have sourced from Austin Creative Reuse, or it might be people who have altered different clothing into new items.
Is this both fashion and art, or what's at the reuse market? What would I expect to see for the most part if I were to go?
We have artists that do all different mediums. So we have artists that do clothing things. We have a lot of jewelry. We've got some pottery. It runs the gamut of everything. One of my favorite artists takes old beer cans and punches them into earrings. It's a way to turn this single-use item into this kind of recognizable, iconic kind of piece of jewelry without using very many new materials at all.
Very cool. We've gone through the impacts. Are there any stories that you can share that can connect listeners to Austin Creative Reuse?
One of my favorite things that we've been able to do, and one of the places where I feel like we've had the biggest impact, is through a partnership with AISD. There is a really passionate AISD employee that helps get schools ready for big renovation projects. And one day he saw just how many materials were left over in the school building because the teachers weren't able to store them at their homes over the summer. And he recognized this as a big gap of all these materials that are just going to end up in the dumpster. And I think I know someone who might be able to help me out with this. He was a personal friend of some of the folks that were really involved with ACR. And so he gave ACR a call. He empowered a whole group of employees and volunteers from Austin Creative Reuse to come to this school and salvage literal tons of materials from the school building before it was renovated. Through that partnership, we have cleaned out over 6 campuses from elementary schools up to high schools and salvaged over 20,000 pounds of items so far. And most of those items have all gone straight back to teachers through our educator programs as well. It's just amazing to think about how much a few volunteers can do. Sometimes it feels a little disconnected of, okay, this donation would have gone to Goodwill or the Salvation Army rather than going to Austin Creative Reuse. Was that really destined for the landfill? Like, I don't know. But with this, it's very concrete of no, it was going to go in a dumpster if ACR didn't come and step in. And it was just great to be able to save all those materials and get them back into the hands of teachers and students that needed them as well.
It feels like a win. Once you get all that stuff and then you're able to actually go see it get reused, recycled, it feels like a huge win that you're able to reproduce it. I just feel like every time I'm putting even something in my recycle bin, I feel like it's a win over the trash. I don't know if everyone feels that way, but I know that you guys are very passionate. But I get excited hearing about it. It feels like a game.
It's definitely a win, even when like a lot of times these school buildings don't have air conditioning anymore and we're doing it over the summer. And so it is one of the like most grueling, sweaty days you'll have. But at the end of the day, you just see the like truckloads of things and it feels all worth it. And you're like, this was cleansing in a way. I just sweated through my t-shirt 2 times over and look at all these materials we've saved. So
that's what it is. It's cleansing. That's a good word. And then do you mind sharing maybe your origin story? How did you come into working for Austin Creative Reuse?
This is the first creative reuse center I've ever been familiar with. One of my friends kept telling me, hey, you're artsy. You really need to go to this place. Hey, you're really about recycling and don't let me throw stuff away. Like, you should go to this place. So finally, I found myself walking into ACR's door one day. And I can remember so distinctly the like goosebumps that I got when I was just like, this is my place. It was so welcoming and there's just rainbows everywhere. So I know that it's a very LGBTQ accepting place as well. And the vibes were just very positive. And I was just enthralled to look through all the bins and go treasure hunting for my next creative activity. And I also remember distinctly feeling, oh, I can finally let go of some of those items that I've been refusing to get rid of because I didn't want them to end up in the trash. They're good items that someone can use, but I just don't know how to get them into the hands of someone who will use them. So it also lifted this big weight off of me in that regard. And my husband was very happy when I started purging my craft room. So he was very excited that I found out about ACR. Of course, then I replenished it all with treasures that I had found at ACR to buy. But it was also just so freeing to be able to start doing art and trying out new things without that burden of, I have to get this right the first time because I don't want to have to go out and buy this again, both from a financial standpoint and from a conservation standpoint. That was something that was definitely a barrier to me. I try to buy everything secondhand, but art supplies was just the one thing I like couldn't get secondhand. So I had to go to Michael's or I had to go to Joann's. And this finally freed me from that. And I was like, great, I don't have to buy anything new ever again. I started volunteering with ACR and met a lot of really wonderful folks when volunteering and just could feel the passion from everyone there. And when their position for volunteer coordinator opened up, I just jumped at the chance. I came from engineering and was like, nope, nonprofit. This is my place. This is a wonderful nonprofit. And I got the job and have never looked back because ACR is full of my people. Every day I get to meet a new volunteer that's excited about the work we do or a new visitor who's here for the first time. And I can see that same look on their face that I experienced the first time. And it's just great to be a part of that.
Listeners can't see you right now, but you're in a very colorful outfit with little pom-pom earrings. I'm assuming maybe reused or like the pom-poms. I'm just curious.
I got these from ACR for sure.
Yeah, because I'm like, you're just like glowing like ACR if I had to guess like what an ACR look was. Like, because you've got the earrings that are beautiful. Anyway, you're just like a ray of sunshine. And I'm so glad you found your place with them. It sounds like you are where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, me too. And it's really wonderful seeing when other people have that same experience because it's really common that like volunteers are like, I just wasn't feeling at home other places. And then I got here and again, I've never looked back. This is the place for me. Building community is a big part of what we do.
And isn't that the truth that you collect and hoard things because you don't want it to go into a landfill? I think a lot of us do that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, so I think that's great. Okay, love it. I always ask us to share what I refer to as a good brag. It's something I want people to speak more loudly about is the good that they're doing. I know that you have a good brag. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, definitely. I live in the Windsor Park neighborhood, the same neighborhood that ACR is in. So luckily I get to walk to work every day, which is really nice. And I also have a dog that I take on walks all the time. Last spring, I kept noticing that the creek that runs through our neighborhood was just always full of trash. It really bothered me to think about just all of the trash that was down there. And it really felt like something that I could actually do something about. So one day I looked up Keep Austin Beautiful to figure out if they would loan me the materials I needed to be able to clean this out. And luckily they do have a program where they'll loan you all of the trash picker-uppers and the waiters and the boots and everything like that so you can lead your own cleanup. And instead of just my husband and I or a few friends, I decided to bring Austin Creative Reuse into the equation. And Austin Creative Reuse helped me lead a cleanup effort throughout the Windsor Park neighborhood. So we really focused on the waterway that runs right by our building. And we pulled out like 2 truckloads of trash from the creek. I got in my waders and I was pulling like boots and styrofoam cups and all sorts of things out of this creek. It was so empowering to see these people that like came together to make this happen. And then the before and after pictures are startling how different they look. And every day when I walked past again, I saw another animal there. Like, oh, now there's a bunch of tadpoles. And I know they're going to support all of these frogs, and the ecosystem is just a lot more healthy after the action that we took, which is very empowering to get to see.
Yeah, this is like a step above cleansing that we were talking about in our homes. You're seeing nature come out more because there's less litter and trash. And I just think that's so great what you did. Everyone brings in a different flavor of their good brag. And I really love that one because you saw a problem and you went and got your community, your neighbors, Austin Creative Reuse, and Keep Austin Beautiful. And you partnered with them and you organized and you made a difference. And that's a beautiful thing.
It really is. Yeah, it felt very good to be able to do. And it was also wonderful because I got to connect with other neighbors, other people in my neighborhood that I would have never been able to connect to before. And they were so excited to see people taking action. And I know that this will prompt us doing more cleanup efforts in the future in the Windsor Park neighborhood. And that also feels good to tip the first domino that's going to lead to even more good deeds.
Courtney, Dickie, and I have talked during Topics That Matter about the loneliness crisis in America and how volunteering is such an easy way to get to know your neighbors and your community and get off your phones, get off the TV, stop Netflix binging. We all do it, but get with your neighbors and go solve a problem and help the community. Just want to do also a big thank you. Texas Stars Foundation loves to give to those that give back. We have 4 tickets that they have generously given to either a nonprofit worker or a volunteer or someone who has given back. Is there anyone that you can think of that you would want to give these tickets to?
That's so cool. Yeah, we have a volunteer who volunteers with her daughter, and they really like sports. They're always talking about the latest basketball game that was on or something like that. And I bet that they would love to go. And that would be really nice for me to be able to extend to them. Thank you.
That's perfect. So thank you, Texas Stars Foundation. The season starts October 10th. So hopefully they have a great night out. It's a lot of fun.
Perfect.
Awesome. Okay, now we're going to switch gears and give listeners a chance for bragging rights. Visiting is a big one because we see it from the reviews. We see it from the hours of volunteers, the number of people who sign up to volunteer. And a lot of that is from showing up and seeing what you guys have done and the impact y'all are doing. So do you mind just telling us a little bit, like, how do you show up and how do you visit Austin Creative Reuse?
Visiting Austin Creative Reuse is definitely the best way to get to know us and just to understand what kind of community we are cultivating and how we put our mission into action. We are open Tuesday through Sunday to the public, most days 11 to 7. And so we try and make it very easy for people who work or people who have kids to be able to visit us. And you just have to come and see it to believe it. You'll be greeted by this unicorn that's made from discarded materials that's hanging outside of the center. And then as soon as you walk in, there's this massive bat that's made from trash that was pulled out of Lady Bird Lake. And once you come and visit, I think that people really understand what we're going for, and that prompts them to want to be more involved and to donate both materials and money to help keep it going, and their time, and just to become part of the Austin Creative Reuse crew.
Yeah, so step 1, visit. Step 2 is either donate or volunteer. Can you tell listeners how they can show up in that way?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we take in donations from the public and from businesses when they have like offcuts or like kind of the ends of materials they can't use. And donating is a great way to help keep moving our mission forward and is one of the easier ways to get involved as well.
And so what is the process to donate?
Donations are done by appointment, and this helps our staff keep on top of all of the materials we have coming in because thank God our community is so generous and have a lot of materials that they want to put this extra effort into rehoming. We ask that donors make an appointment through our website, and then you can come and just drop off your materials. And you can make an appointment for either a small donation, just a bag or 2, or a whole trunk load if you've got a bunch and you're doing a full cleanse. Another really important piece for our donors is to check out our What We Accept list ahead of time. We have both a general list on our website, and then we have a PDF that has hundreds of items, so you can search and see, do they take my old floppy disks or whatever other things you're trying to donate.
I have to ask, what are things people have brought in that you're like, we have no use for this at all?
Just last week, I got an email from a volunteer where she said, worst bead finds ever. It was someone's braces. That they had donated, I guess, with their other jewelry findings. I'm not sure what they wanted us to reuse this for, but we don't really want people's old braces.
No, braces are a no.
Braces are a no, yeah. We also got a bag of cat hair at one point. It said for felting ? On the bag. Someone was really hoping that we could turn their cat's shedded hair into something new, but we weren't going to.
There's people that are much, much more passionate about this, clearly, because if you're trying to get rid of the braces and the cat hair, good intentions. They're trying to do something with it.
Sometimes things are waste.
Yeah.
And we will help you through our what we accept list understand maybe where that line is.
I love that. Okay, so no cat hair, no braces. Do people bring in clothes?
That's a great question. We do get clothes sometimes, but we don't accept clothing. So you may have heard me mention that some of the items we never go to thrift stores or something like that. When we get the few things that kind of sneak through, stuff that we don't take, we'll help divert them to other places that do take those types of items. But the biggest reason we don't take clothing is that a lot of other thrift stores are already providing that service to the community, and we're trying to fit the niche that other places aren't. So we ask that all clothing and home goods and things like that go to other thrift stores that specialize in that, and we'll take your art supplies that we specialize in.
Yeah, that's great, because there's a million thrift stores across Austin that you can take those items to. So you're really filling a gap.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Can you speak a little bit to volunteering?
Volunteers are absolutely core to our mission, and so much of how we do things and what we prioritize is centered around our volunteer team. Like I said earlier, over 60% of the time that we put into processing materials comes from our volunteer team. They will help sort items, they'll help measure fabric, they help bundle and package things together, all so that when it goes out to our retail floor or to our educator programs, it's something that someone can actually use again. They also help with our education program. One of our new volunteers has learned how to lead material mobile visits all on their own and can drive the truck out to schools and directly interface with those teachers. So for people who are looking for that direct impact, we're a really great place to volunteer because you're actually touching the items that you've helped save from the landfill. You're actually talking to the teacher who's going to benefit from your programs and things like that. So we're not far removed from the impact at all, which I think is really great. And we also have some volunteers that fill specialty roles, like helping us with our online store or teaching the make and take crafts that we have in center, as well as doing like graphic design projects too. So we'll even put people's specialty skills to use as well.
Is there a certain age? Are you looking mainly for adult volunteers? Is there opportunities for families? And just what is the demographic?
Most of our volunteers are adults, but we have volunteers that range from 9 years old up to, I would guess our oldest volunteer is probably like 94 years old. So we really serve all ages. Our core volunteering program is open to anyone 15 and above, but it's also a way for families to serve together. And our community volunteering sessions are generally open to ages 12 and up, but we have some sessions that are suitable for 9 and up as well. So it's a great way to volunteer with your kids as well.
Awesome. Great. We're definitely going to have to come there. So I understand what we're doing with volunteering. So how would I get started?
The best way to get started is to join us for a community volunteer session. So these are volunteering sessions that are open to anyone in the community, generally ages 12 and up. Some of them are suitable for younger ages. And we try to make them accessible to everyone because we think everyone should have access to volunteering and it shouldn't be barred by whether or not you work in the afternoon or something. So we have sessions every day, Sunday through Friday. Some are in the evening, some are in the morning, some are in the afternoon. And it's a great way to network with other people, to spend time with friends away from a screen. It's also a really cool, like, intergenerational experience. One of my favorite sessions is Monday mornings, and we generally have our volunteers that are seniors and grandmothers, as well as really young volunteers, especially over the summer. We have high schoolers that come and volunteer with us. And you just get to see everyone coming together and working towards a common goal that otherwise these people would probably never interact with each other. So it's really cool to see that too. And it really speaks to the community part of it. One of the great things about community volunteering is that there's no commitment past that 2-hour session that you sign up for. You just go on to GivePulse, sign up for the particular time and date that works for you. There's no commitment past that. So we've tried to make the barrier to entry as low as possible so that everyone can come and serve and they don't have to be able to commit to months of training or something like that to get started.
Yeah, so easy. Sign up and just try it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
Great. I understand what we do with volunteering, I understand how to get started. What's the most impactful way to volunteer? So say I want to be more committed. How can I show up in that way?
We have a core volunteer program that is where all of our volunteers who really resonate with our mission and want to give back on a more consistent basis can volunteer. Through this program, you can choose when you want to volunteer, what you want to volunteer for, and then you can also do some more of the more social type of volunteering, like going out to festivals and representing ACR or teaching people how to do crafts and things like that. And it's really nice to be a part of this program because you get to know your other fellow volunteers that have like mindsets. And some of the afternoons, like Tuesday afternoons, are just full of core volunteers in our volunteer space that are just chatting away with each other while they work on their specialty thing that they are most excited about. Like we've got Julia, who does all of our linens, and she puts a lot of care into each vintage doily that has been micro crocheted over hundreds of hours or something like that, alongside the person who specializes in paint and is going through all of the different types of paint and everything.
So you can get started and get your feet wet, and there's a low barrier to entry to try out community volunteering. And then you can join the core volunteer program. Does that require a commitment?
We ask that all of our core volunteers commit to volunteering for at least 8 hours a month for at least 3 months. So some core volunteers have been volunteers with us for 12 years and commit 20 hours a week to us. And then we have a lot of other volunteers that can commit 2 hours a week or so after work and have been volunteering with us for just a couple of months. One of the really unique things about our core volunteer program is that you can actually volunteer from your own home. So we have projects where you can come and take a bin of materials to process and then bring it home and work on it at home while you're on your Netflix binge or something, or listening to this podcast, and you're just plugged in, measuring lace, and then you bring it back when it's all done. And so it's a great way to do that service without having a bunch of extra time to commit or energy, because we're all low on energy sometimes, and it can be tough to try and go to a place and be around a bunch of people and everything.
All right. So introverts rejoice. You have an opportunity here.
Yes. One of the other lovely things about our core volunteer program that I've gotten to witness a lot over the past few years is how many families come together to volunteer through that program. We have several mother-daughter combos that volunteer with us, and sometimes this is great-grandmother and grandmother are volunteering together, and sometimes it is mother and her teenage daughter are volunteering together. It's a great way to interface with your child in a different way that can be very relaxing and really form that bond, which I think is really cool.
I keep telling people formal volunteerism, not only do you get the benefit of oftentimes finding your community, but bringing your friends and your family, like your loved ones, along is a great way to spend forced time, especially if you have a teenager. But also just getting time in with those people. Maybe you don't see a friend enough. And you go, okay, what if we made this a monthly thing that we went and did? I just think there's such great opportunities to connect with those and be able to serve others in ways like ACR. I work at a company and we allow volunteering once a quarter. What about these companies or groups?
We have a really robust group volunteering program, and we host over 50 different companies a year that come and do team building volunteering with us. One of the really nice things about it is that we are indoors and we can accommodate like some larger groups, which often don't go together. And we also don't charge for our volunteer groups to come through. It's a great opportunity for companies of all size.
Fabulous. I might actually sign up my team one time.
We would love to have you guys. And it's great because a lot of our volunteer projects, once you get the hang of what you're doing, like you can zone out and just be doing the thing. And so it really fosters a lot of conversation and connection among teams in a way that is, I think, really productive to making your work team more productive as well.
All about team building and merging that with giving back. Love it. Are there a few things that you guys are specifically in need of?
It feels like we're always running out of glue. Glue is something that we can't keep on the shelves. We also found, especially with Joann's closing recently, we're one of the only places you can go and physically buy fabric in the Austin area. And fabric is definitely something that we will take. If you can't use it, we'll find someone who can. So fabric donations are great.
Great. You spoke about this earlier, but reuse on the runway. A night of fashion, cosplay, and drag.
This is our big signature event, and it is effectively this fashion show that is featuring entirely local artists that use recycled components and reuse in their looks that they'll be presenting. We'll have over 40 designers presenting over 70 looks at this event. We are welcoming all ages to come and support this creative expression and really start to think about items in a new way. It's really cool when you get to see a look that's made entirely from frozen vegetable bags and cereal boxes and just think, wow, the creativity that went into that, and sort of rework your thinking about items. We are also going to be having a silent auction to help raise some funds for our programs and for our operating expenses. It's great to have people support in that way, but really we just want everyone to come out and celebrate the individuality and the creativity that our community holds. So buy a ticket and come support your local designer.
Yeah, and tickets are on sale right now.
Yes. Yep. For September 20th. So mark your calendar.
September 20th, be there and go support ACR and go support the community. It's really leaning into the community and saying, we support you, everyone's welcome. And how do you express yourself? We welcome it in whichever shape or form.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Does Austin Creative Reuse need any single thing, service, talent? Is there anything that y'all need right now?
Kind of niche, but we really need someone who is passionate about watches and would like to help us process all the watches that we get donated. So if you are a watch aficionado, please reach out. That and sewing machine testers. So if you're familiar with a sewing machine, we get a lot of them donated and we test every single one before we sell it so that we know that we're giving someone a good machine that will get them excited about sewing. So if you know your way around watches or sewing machines, we would love to have your help.
That's awesome. I wish I had one of those skills, but I don't. But definitely reach out to ACR if you have either of those. Okay, amazing. Thank you so much, Madison. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be sharing these opportunities with our community.
Madison was a joy to talk to. She is passionate, vibrant, and full of contagious energy, which I'm sure you could feel that on your end. And her good brag, seeing a problem and organizing an army to help clean it up. Well done, Madison. That was really good brag. Austin Creative Reuse is a place where creativity and conservation collide. As you heard, they're proving that sustainability doesn't have to be complicated and it can actually be really fun. Based off what Piper said, from the moment you walk into their reuse center, you feel the magic of what happens when we give things a second life instead of tossing them out. So remember how you can show up for Austin Creative Reuse. Donate. Are you cleaning out your craft closet? Go online, schedule a drop-off appointment, and help give materials a second life. And remember to volunteer, from sorting donations to maybe if you have a special skill like testing sewing machines or you're good with watches. Every helping hand keeps ACR affordable and accessible. And mark your calendar. Reuse on the Runway, September 20th. Upcycled fashion meets drag, cosplay, and creativity. Support them. Thank you to Nightlight Insurance Agency for presenting Escape into a Cause. Thanks to the Texas Stars Foundation for helping us celebrate those stepping up in our community. And to Todd Thompson for editing and mixing, Graham Thompson and Jaden Dyer for the music, Corey McCain at Just Push Record Studios, and Ashlyn O'Neill for digital content. Next week, we're escaping into Keep Austin Fed. If you've ever thought about how much perfectly good food gets thrown away while people right here in Austin are going hungry, yeah, it doesn't add up. And that's where Keep Austin Fed steps in, rescuing surplus food and matching it with local organizations feeding people in need. It's simple, it's smart, and honestly, it makes you wonder why this isn't just a standard operating procedure everywhere. I hope you'll enjoy us next week as we escape into a cause.